To another episode of Threads of Enlightenment. As usual, I take the time to welcome our guests and to thank them for coming, for bringing a couple of things that I personally deem very expensive. Time is a commodity that many do not understand the value of it, and they misuse their 24 hours each day that is given to them while they're here on this beautiful planet called Earth. The other is your journey. The journey created who you are today, who we're listening to, the wisdom, all of the things that came with your journey, the pain, the beauty, the hurt, the overcoming, all of it. We want to thank you for coming and sharing and allowing us entrance into who you are and how your journey made you the way you are today. Thank you so much, Rahul, for coming to Threads of Enlightenment.
Thank you. Thank you, Ken, for having me here. I really appreciate it. I'm very excited to talk about my journey as well as how I can enlighten our listeners.
Excellent. Tell them those things that you. I feel. I always tell people we are creators, Rahul, because we create by the way we process our thoughts, which manifests into habits and all of these things that create what
Yep.
we express as life. And so I want you to tell them all of those things that you have given birth as a result of your journey. That you are now, because I tell people the ultimate prize that you and I get to enjoy while we're here on this planet is to become servants. And the journey is designed to kind of fine tune us as to who we are. Number two, to make us aware of the gift that is within us, and then that usher into the servanthood. Tell us all those things that you are
Correct.
utilizing to serve others today.
Sure. So, Ken, Rahul is a person who firmly believes where there is a will, there is a way.
Hmm.
I'm a firm believer of positive mind talk. I believe that our mind is superpower and it has so much power for us to achieve anything and everything that we want.
Hmm.
It is not question about whether we will do it or not. It is a question about whether we want it or not, because
Yeah.
everything is possible. And I have been in the corporate world for over 20 years. I'm known for my servant leadership, and my aim is to look out for people who are in need, who are in support. I would want to
Hmm.
invest my time with people who are really serious about their life. I just don't want to invest time with people who just want to spend time with me. But it's the
Yeah.
other way around. I want to spend time with people who really are serious, who really want to make things happen, make a better and happier place for themselves and their loved ones. And
Yeah.
as you
No.
mentioned about
Great.
creating things,
Go
sorry,
ahead.
go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
For Yeah, creating things, creation. My loveliest creation has been my couple of books that I've written. Ken,
Hmm.
number one is Be Action Oriented, and the second book of mine, which is actually I just ordered the proof copies, just came on my table yesterday.
Yeah.
Habits for Miracles. They are the
Congratulations.
best. Thank you. They are the best creators for me, and the creation of self. How do we
Yes.
create inner self is what makes us different,
Yeah.
and that is what this book is talking about, Ken. How you change your inner self, how you create the better human being, uh,
Yeah.
rather than someone who is just after success, who is after fame, who is after money. All those things
Yeah.
will come. First, let's be a better human being.
Yeah. I agree with you. I think that is the ultimate assignment, if you will, that each and every one of us have to complete within that classroom called life. Is how do we become a better human being? Well, how do we recognize these tools that will help us to get to that? What is a better human being? And all of these different things. And I think is as we become in tune with ourselves, that I think that is the very first assignment as we begin to get in tune with ourselves. I got to learn to how to love me first, Raul, to be honest with you.
Mhm.
I can't love you until I love me first. I've got to go through and I have to learn to forgive myself. I have to learn how to be empathetic with myself. I got to learn all these things before I can really truly practice it and release it to you. But if I don't know anything about it, I can't do it. So I tell people, majority of people are lying to you when they say they love you. I ask them, do you love you? That's the more important thing.
Mhm.
So talk to us about your life, because I always tell people that we are formed initially within the framework by which we, number one, are dwelling. The first space that we stop, Raul, is our family unit. This is the whereby we have these folks that we call parents now are going to begin to impart whatever trauma they have, whatever pain they have, whatever wisdom they have, all of those things. They will begin to deposit some of those things into us that will form you and I. What was your family unit like?
So, Ken, I was very fortunate to have the family that God gave me. Whatever
Nice.
I am today is with the blessing of my mother, father, my siblings.
Mm-hmm.
My father provided all the basic education, put me to the right coaching, right classes, that allowed me to know who am I. The
Mm-hmm.
independence. I was in boarding school for almost 5 years. That allowed me to live life with
Yeah.
people who I never knew before. So, with God's grace, we had a very supportive family.
Mm-hmm.
We were given all the right things at the right time. We were very fortunate, and I was
Yeah.
able to capitalize on those aspects that
Yeah.
kept me moving on.
So, with this um, uh, beautiful setting that was afforded by your family, and you were given all of these things, talk to us as to how did you receive all of those things that were given to you? What was your development, if you will, while you're in this space with such care and provision and all of these things? What was happening to you?
Sure. So let me share one thing. So my father was part of the government service in India. Uh,
Hmm.
he was very busy. You know, most of the time we were just seeing him surrounded by people around him.
Yeah.
But whenever we were able to get time, we were able to get time from him. Why I shared this was all my decisions. So my father told me, I don't want to tell you what you should be doing. I don't want
Yeah.
to tell you what you should become. I
Yeah.
want you to decide. You are the better decision maker. So that brought a lot of ownership in me
Yeah.
because I need to do the research. I need to find out what next level for me in the career.
Hmm.
Education wise, when I was doing my bachelor's degree, I took a lot of courses on the side just to make myself prepared for the job market. When I was
Yeah.
doing my MBA degree, Ken, my MBA classes used to get over by 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock. Those evenings were available to me, so I invested my time in learning more. 2 years of my MBA, both the years I took different courses in the evening so that
Yeah.
I can prepare myself for the job market, for the to help others, to help the community members. And with that said, I chose my specialization in the human resources. And
Hmm.
after completion of my MBA, I got a job in a actually a IT company in Mumbai,
Yeah.
India, as an HR executive in back then in 1999.
Yeah. I got a couple of questions for you, but I want to stop here for a minute. And what a wonderful gift your father gave you as a young person. The independence, the ability to become a critical thinker on your own, not to be swayed, if you will, by his opinion, but for you to find yourself. I think that is a powerful gift that a parent can offer a child, much more valuable than wealth that they would pass down. But that piece right there is power. And the other is that how you received that power and that information, that you looked at it and you were awake enough, if you will, to look at the value of the trust that your dad had placed into you to let you go on your own. And you utilized it by acquiring knowledge, by becoming studious. And you had picked up, you said, human. Why did you pick that field? Because um, what steered you towards that versus going any other place? Why did you pick that?
Yeah,
Human
so
development.
I have spoken a lot about it on my book, but I will tell you so when I
Yeah.
was doing my MBA, and marketing was the number one choice of
Yeah.
everyone to take. Second was finance, and
Yeah.
the human resources were typically back then was not the prime choice. And
Hmm.
so I spoke to my professors, I spoke to some of my friends, and did my own assessment. And what I
Yeah.
realized was that I like reading books which are more towards self help, more towards personal development, around leadership.
Hmm.
I had my interest on those books. And
Yeah.
when I did my self introspection, I realized that marketing may not be the best for me. Finance, though
Hmm.
I was very good in maths was my favorite subject. Still, finance was not giving me. It was all sitting jobs. It was not helpful to me. Is the human
Yeah.
resources? I realized that it will allow me to help others. It will allow me
Yeah.
to change life for others for their betterment. And then a wise person told me that before you decide on your specialization, why don't you do your internship? You
Yeah.
can do internship. So in my course, we were allowed to do one internship as a from a program perspective. Ken, I did
Hmm.
three internships. The two
Wow.
winters time that we had, I utilized that
Yeah.
time instead of having fun. I utilized that time, went for the internship, and all these
Yeah.
three internships were into the HR domain. Uh, the first two
Wow.
internship made me convinced that I need to go to HR specialization, and I chose it. So it
Yeah.
was because of the love of the people, because of my personality, because of my interest around self help, personal development, is why I chose this specialization.
Rahul, where did you get that from? Where did you acquire that love for people, number one, and the interest, if you will, in the development of people? Where did you think you can crystallize? Where did that come from as you are looking into your life? Where did you think you acquire that?
I would say I would attribute this to both my parents, my mom and dad. As I told you, my
Hmm.
dad was into government servant, and he was surrounded by people. So every time when he used to come home, there was people with him. So we were always,
Yeah.
there were hardly he had lunch alone. He was having 4 or 5 people with
Yeah.
him. So that's that servant
Hmm.
attitude. And then I noticed how my dad was treating them, how my dad is
Yeah.
talking to them. And he's
Yeah.
always going above and beyond to help. I know a lot of people, a lot of my friends, not back
Hmm.
then, now they tell me that, hey, I met your dad in the office. I just told him that I'm your friend, and he did my work without anything. He paid him my fee also. So I was not knowing
Wow.
all those things. I just getting to know later. And my mother comes with a family of astrologers. So my
Hmm.
grandfather was an astrologer to a king in the central part of the India, and I have seen
Hmm.
that as well. the servant attitude, how you treating
Yeah.
people coming to your home. So I think that is what I would attribute, the love towards people, the love towards helping the community. Um,
Yeah.
that's what I would
That's
say.
powerful stuff. That is powerful
Mhm.
because again, I'm looking and listening to your story and your genesis, if you will, and you see the beginnings of a powerful mindset given from ushered in from your dad, from this young man that is understanding the value of making one's own decision and inputting information, seeking outside guidance. And I tell people these are critical um, parts of growing that one need to practice in their life because a lot of people want to do it on their own and don't understand that you weren't designed for that way. You were designed to step out once in a while and get some help. So here you are. You have been taking these courses and you're learning. You did it three, and you're getting to taste that aspect of um, your love, if you will. So
Yeah.
here's this young man growing, and talk to us now because you said you had astrology in your family. Your dad, he seems to understand some of the principles of that one needs to develop the self. What was happening to you as you're gaining all this knowledge? What were you doing with you, if you will, Rahul? What were you doing with you as you're dancing with all of this stuff that is happening? Personally, where were you?
So I always felt that if I have to help others, I need to help myself. As you
Hmm.
mentioned earlier, that if you want to love others, you need to love yourself. So
Yeah.
same thing. So I wanted myself to equip with enough enough tools, enough techniques, so that I can offer my support. Because if
Yeah.
I'm not worthy to provide support, I will not be able to help. So that's where, once I completed 3 years at the job, I was getting bored. I started
Hmm.
looking out for another job, and somehow the interviews I gave, it was not very interesting. The profile was not looking interesting, and I was thinking, okay, what should I do next? And I thought, okay, why don't I invest in my own self? So
Hmm.
organization development was something that I was fascinated about. I did my research. I noticed that okay, US would be the place where I should come and study about organization development, the organization culture. And then
Yeah.
I started preparing for the GRE exams, the GMAT or the TOEFL, and applied for universities in the States. And instead of taking up a new job, I invested in myself and came to
Hmm.
States for my second master's.
Hmm.
So it was a journey that I took with all the decision I was able to take. But I would say that I was surrounded by like-minded people, great
Hmm.
mentors, great colleagues who guided me in the right direction.
Yeah, I tell people it's important, Rahul, to gather your team in every aspect of your life, even when you are going through hard times. Gather your team and be very selective of your team because
Mm.
um, these are the people that are going to influence you when you are tired, when you are at the end, if you will, of your rope, when you are looking for a direction. Make sure that your team is qualified. And it's very important that part of living. Even after I surround myself with people that I trust, that I know that will tell me the truth in love in every
Mhm.
situation, and that's what I want to hear. I don't want them to pat me and stroke me and whatever, but to tell me the truth, even if it is an encouraging truth. It is the truth. And when it is something that I need to deal with, I want that too, because what is my purpose here on this life is to grow. And to grow, they're going to have to touch some sensitive spots, if you will, if you know what I'm talking about, that will cause you
Yeah.
to lose your mind. So here you are,
Hmm.
you realize that the States is it. You up, you did your studies, your team said you're on the right track. You got into the States. Talk to us as to what's happening. It's a new environment, new places, new people, new culture. What was going on to you, with you as you are now assimilating within the differences of belief system?
So I was very excited throughout my flight. It was almost 24 hours flight. I landed in
Hmm.
Detroit. It was closer to my school, which was in Bowling Green State University in Ohio.
Yeah.
My first day, I don't know what I ate in the flight. I had stomach ache or stomach bug.
Yeah.
For the
Hmm.
first 3 days, it was very challenging, and I was thinking that did I make the right decision coming here? I mean, that stomach bug. Why is there a sign somewhere? Is I don't have to come, or maybe am I doing good with my family? All those thoughts keep on coming. But then I also started. I sort of thought that how proud my family was. My parents were when I was flying, when they came to see me off at Mumbai airport.
Hmm.
They had hope from me. Now I can't
Yeah.
let them down. So the
Yeah.
stomach bug, stomach ache is just one of the things. And
Yeah.
I had a very strong mindset that what I want to do here. I want to establish myself. I want to learn. I want to see how I can improve my communication skills, public speaking skills, organization
Yeah.
knowledge. And I was determined to do that. Uh, I didn't have the scholarship can in the first semester, so I took a loan before I came to from India. My father offered me his help, but I said no. I want to do it on my own.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
he had to co-sign my loan application, so he was the co-signer. I
Yeah.
took the loan, and with God's grace, I kept on looking for internship or for the graduate assistantship, as we call it in our grad school. And
Yeah.
I was able to get it in my last 3 semesters for 3 semesters. This one semester I had to pay from my pocket, but I was able to get it.
Yeah.
And I fell in love with the country for a reason is the openness.
Yeah.
It was very unusual for me in India that you are walking on the street and people are saying hi to you.
Yeah.
Uh, we don't even talk. There are so many people. And out here, you are going on a morning walk. You are going on, uh, uh, outside, and then you people are saying, "Hey, how are you? Hi," and it was a very good
Yeah. Yeah.
feeling. It was a feel good factor.
Yeah.
So I like that environment. I like the nature. It was completely different than from where I was coming. So
Hmm.
overall, the only thing I used to miss, Ken, to be honest, was the food and the family.
The food.
Those the
Yeah.
two, yes, the food I was based to miss. The mom cooked food and the food that we used to get back in India in the restaurant. Though we have Indian restaurants here, but the quality and the
Yeah.
taste is a night and day difference. The night and day difference.
Yeah, my mom is Indian descent in Guyana, and the food, man, when she cooked those curries and this thing, man, I tell you, life is different then. You had mentioned a couple of things that I want to talk about, and I want you to go into it a little more. And I try to give people the vision that life is like a one of those boards that you see an archer is
Mhm.
trying to hit, and we are the archers, and uh, that archer that is shooting at that board, if you will, that you have your outer parts, and then you have your centerpiece. As that archer becomes familiar with uh, the weapons that they have, we call them tools that we have, and learns about themselves as they learn how to breathe, control, meditation. As people, I tell people, we meditate all day long. People
Mhm.
think we don't, but the human being is designed to meditate. You're either meditating on your bills, you're worried about your bill, you're worried about your kids, you're worried about something, or you're going to take your thought life and switch it and change the meditation. I was talking about that mindset. You have to recognize you meditate. Trust me, you meditate. So, but you
Mhm.
mentioned one piece that I wanted you to talk about, because here you are, you set up your dream and you're on the plane, you got this bug, but something within the dance of the thoughts coming to you about, did I do the right thing and did I do that? You had this other conversation with yourself, and I try to tell people, you're gonna gotta talk to yourself, man. You came in with the other conversation and said, slow down, and you began to change your perspective on it. Look at my parents. Look at the joy they gave. Look at all of this, and then you turn around and you focus your bullseye and your mindset. You stated, and you said, "I have work to do," and you began to move because your mind is focused. Talk to them and let them know how important this is, because this is really important, Raul, that people will have the thoughts, but you have to come back and get focused.
Mhm. Yeah. And I would say always you will have these two thoughts in your mind. And Ken, I like what you mentioned about talking to yourself, hearing yourself. It's so
Yeah,
important that if you don't talk to yourself, if you don't hear yourself, you will not know what you exactly want to do. And there will
yeah,
always be, so in my book I talk about, there is an evil in your, and whatever you call it, good or bad, there is always those
yeah,
voice coming in your mind. And we need to decide which voice we need to hear. And
yeah.
sometimes your mind will want you to take the wrong decision because
Hmm.
that wrong decision is making you happy. So
Yeah,
so mind knows that, okay, if I have to make Rahul happy, I want him to make him do this. So our
yeah,
mind is telling you, do this, but that is the other person inside you
yeah.
who's telling you that, man, be careful, don't eat that dessert. You did your treadmill today. So and then, so it's a very important for us to have that inner dialogue and that
Yeah,
conversation, and then make a right decision rather than just taking the next step in a fraction of moment. We need to slow
yeah.
down, as
Talk
you
to
rightly
them.
mentioned. Mhm.
Yeah, talk to them about this, Raul, because this is. I want them to understand this little transition right here, because this transition that you're talking about, slowing down. I tell those that I talk with, meditation was important to me. Why was it important to me? As I mentioned, everyone is meditating, but when I began to meditate purposefully, meaning that I wanted to slow down my thoughts, I wanted to become the chooser, the decider, not living by default, if you will, where the thoughts are coming and I'm just reacting. I wanted to change that. I wanted to make decisions. I wanted to choose. And it was in my meditation, Raul, that I learned how to slow the thoughts down in order to decide which ones I will give permission to now enter in, so that I can begin to meditate on that to bring my desired outcome. I had to learn that piece right there, and that transition of disconnecting help us to get that, help us to get some clarity on those, especially listeners, of this transition right there, because it is truly important. I want to just linger here to pull on you with the wisdoms that you've gained in your life as to that important transition and how the listeners can move from one space to the other.
Yeah, so I would say getting into a panic situation very seldomly help us.
Hmm.
And if we take a step back And if we try to wait for some time on to act upon it,
Yeah.
it may be a blessing for us.
Yeah.
And the reason why I say that is a blessing, because when you are thinking in the negative, when your mind is negative,
Yeah.
it will allow you to take negative action. It will push you to take negative action. So it is so
Yeah.
important for us to convert our mind negativity into positivity.
Yeah.
And one way can we can do that is by feeding ourselves with positive thoughts,
Mm-hmm.
positive talk. And
Yeah.
when we talk positively to our own self, it makes our mind into positive thoughts, to positive mindset, allow us to take positive action, and eventually take us to a positive and happier life.
Yeah.
And
That,
one of the individual I was talking the day, Ken, he asked me that, okay, should I keep talking positive to myself 24/7, 365? And I said, no. No, I mean, that is not the situation. But for me
yeah.
personally, there are two times when I feed in that positivity in me. One is when I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
bed, because I do believe that
Mm-hmm.
when we go to bed, those thoughts that we have in our mind remain subconsciously in our mind throughout the night, and
Yes.
then
Yeah.
wake us up in a positivity state. And the
Mm-hmm.
second, when we get up, the first thing, after doing my prayers, I want to talk that positive things in my mind,
Yes.
do my
Yeah.
positive mind talk. So those are the two things I would say, if we are able to do, we will live life with positivity. And there will always be a moment where we will have thoughts which are not positive. It will happen. We are human beings. I'm not saying that whatever meditation you do, whatever slowness you do, you will become 100% positive. No. Being
Yeah.
positive is our choice,
Yes.
is the choice that we have. So we can always choose for positivity, and taking
Yeah.
a slowness, taking a step back is always great. People say that silence is a killer. I say that silence is golden. uh,
Mm-hmm.
Keeping yourself in a silent mode is sometimes is amazing.
Yeah. I think those that are saying that, Doc, are those that are programmed to say that. They don't understand the value of silence and the power that is there because they're afraid of it. Because when you're in that space of silence, guess who you're seeing? You're seeing yourself. And a lot of people don't want to see themselves because their thoughts and what's inside their inner being begins to come out. And I love your practice because I do the very same thing. At night, I would mutter or meditate on what I wanted to begin to deposit in my spirit. I would lay down, put myself in my state, as they say, and I would begin to mutter um, the things that I want to, whatever I'm bringing to the forefront of my life, to bring to manifestation, if you will. Why am I doing that? I'm doing that because I'm making a deposit, and because when I get up in the morning, I find myself confessing the very same thing. And so I'm planting my seed, and then in the morning, I'm simply watering it as I begin my day in my meditation, and
Mhm.
it will bear fruit. So here you are, Doc. You have gaining everything. You came to the States, you're in love, you're loving this place, everything is nice, and you're getting your school, your education. How did you begin to navigate towards becoming an author? How did that conversation but first, let's go back a little. You were in the corporate world. You are in the corporate world, and now how did you begin to utilize those tools that you started to gain the wisdom and that you were learning and studying for all those years? How did you begin to utilize those tools to educate those that were around you as a human resource? I mean,
Yeah,
person, and you have people coming at you all day long with all kinds of issues and stuff like that. How did you begin
correct.
to help those?
So So this is another thing I'm sharing, which I learned after 5 6 years. So when I started my corporate journey in the US, I
Hmm.
joined as a recruiter. It was an individual contributor role, and my
Yeah.
job was to provide jobs to other people. So that
Yeah.
was my job, and it was such a feel good factor when you are able to contribute in bringing home, bringing food to the dinner table, bringing
Yeah. Yeah.
happiness to their lives. So it was amazing. Eventually, I was moved into a role where I was leading team, leading people,
Hmm.
and then I started utilizing all my tools. And one thing I realized, that what is working with one individual in my team will not work with
Hmm.
other, because
Yeah.
all these people are different. And
Yes.
initially, I was using the same yardstick, same way of treating people, same, because that is how I
Hmm.
know.
Yeah.
Then again, that is self introspection, more
Yeah.
learning, more reading. You realize that, hey, man, there is something called situational leadership. So, this
Yep.
every situation, every person is different.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
so I learned those things, and I was able to help them. And the biggest learning I had was throughout my leadership journey. I was thinking that when someone is coming for help, I have to help him. What will they feel?
Yeah.
What will they think about me if I don't help them? I have to give them solution.
Yeah.
That was all was going in my mind, and I was pretty successful, Ken. I was doing it very well. I help
Yeah.
people elevate from one level to another, and all that sort. But then it came 2012. I
Yeah.
went to a coaching certification from
Hmm.
Association of Talent Development. And the first thing I learned there, Ken, is as a coach, you are not supposed to give answers. And I was thinking, what? And then over this coaching certification, I realized that as a coach, your job is to facilitate, your job is to ask right questions, because the
Yeah.
answers of people questions lies within themselves. And what
Yes.
coach does is coach help you in thinking in that direction, asking right questions to themselves, and get an answer from you. So, and the second thing coach does is he or she makes you accountable in taking action.
Yes.
So that was a life lesson for me, and it was a eye opener, and helped me a lot in my future
Yeah.
conversation.
Yeah. It's an important tool to understand. I call it, the emotional intelligence is as you are guiding you're guiding these people. The coach is to make them aware of the greatness that is within them. And it's really fascinating to watch when they the purpose of the coach, I tell the individual, is to ask you the questions that you don't know what to ask, but the coach knows because the coach has been there. And the coach remembers that this was the question that he needed to hear at that moment right there because he knew it would bring this results. And he will look at you, he or she will look at you and ask you that very same question because they were there once before and they're very familiar with that situation. They're very familiar with the energy. They're very familiar with the negative thoughts, all of those things that that individual is experiencing now. You, the coach, been through a lot of those things, and so they know what to ask. And the minute they ask them, and that light of revelation enters into them as to, wait a minute, I got it. And when they get that, that is such a powerful um, time that you get an experience as an individual to see that
Mhm.
that the coach is. I remember Jesus said to his disciples, he says, "Where is your faith?" And he kept pointing back to them to tell them that you can do this very same thing I can do. And so the coach is the one by asking the right questions can bring that situation to your forefront, will give you the ability to answer it for yourself And when you do that, you learn it, you know it. It's different than if you hear
Mm.
it. So talk to us as you're in this course and you are now being challenged that what you were doing before is was one way. They are now opening you up to another way. Talk to us
Mm.
about that first person um, as you're now navigating into this new um, perspective as a coach. Talk to us as how now you started to change your routine, if you will, your conversation with those that are sitting before you.
So it was challenging, I would admit. It was not an easy transition because uh, subconsciously I was
Yeah.
tuned to give an answer. So I had to make a lot of effort to restrain myself to take a step back.
Hmm.
Number two, the people with whom I was interacting, they were not used to the new me. They were used to the old me. And then
Yeah.
they started wondering that, okay, what is happening? But I didn't made it too obvious to them
Yeah.
that, okay, this transition is happening slowly and gradually. I made that transition. I still
Yeah.
were giving them some inputs
Yeah.
initially, but probably in 6 to 12 months time frame, I became the coach that I wanted to, which is being
Yeah.
accountable, be their accountability partner, and ask right questions so that they can get a response. The other
Yeah.
thing I also noticed is I don't want to help people who don't need my help because I realize that there are certain people who are self sufficient and I don't want to invest their time or my time in
Hmm.
just not getting any output. So I was very mindful of that those kind of conversation. Just because I am their manager, just because they have to come
Yeah.
to me, I don't want them to just follow me because of the title, the corporate title. I want them to follow
Yeah.
me for the person who I am,
Right.
for the individual who I am. And
Yeah.
if they don't feel or if they don't feel comfortable, if they don't believe that I would be able to provide some value, I used to take
Mhm.
a step back and navigate them to the right individual from where they would be getting the right value. So I was very mindful. I wanted to make sure that if I'm having an interaction, I want that person to get value.
Yeah.
Just for a sake of having a conversation or just for a routine check, that was not I was interested in. I want to make them feel valued.
Well, that's powerful in itself because uh, those are boundaries that you had set up. And I tell people it's important to set boundaries within yourself. You have to know yourself enough, though, Raul, to be able to set up those boundaries and recognize those people that when they come to you. And that's why I say to you, life is, you have that board that has all the outer rings, and then there's that center. As one
Mm.
becomes more familiar with the self, you know, by setting those boundaries within yourself, because you know that you will expend your energy to with someone that is not going to be receptive of it. There's no need then for you to do that. You can guide them to the correct person. So you're making the switch. And that's why I ask you, because I know you've been programmed for all these years, do it this way, and now you're coming and having this dichotomy within yourself and learning about you. As you are learning about you right there, and you're being stretched, as you said, it wasn't easy, and sometimes you had to pull yourself back. What were some of those tools, Raul, that you, when those thoughts were coming and dancing in your head, and you want to revert back to the old ways? What were some of those conversations and the tools that you brought into your space to help you to relax and slow down?
Yeah. So I think one of the difficult tasks was to manage my subconscious mind. And
Hmm.
for that, that positive talk or before the coaching session used to start, like how we offer prayers So I was not offering prayer, but I
Yeah.
was doing a self-talk that, okay, this is what how your
Yeah.
conversation should go. You would be tempted to give a response. You need to take a step back. So it was preparing my mind for that conversation
Yeah.
was something was very, very important. Number two, I would say was knowing that you investing time in asking those questions,
Hmm.
because asking question isn't an art. It is just
Yeah.
not that you ask any question. So I also invested in learning about what how to ask those great questions. I
Yeah.
read a couple of books. I spoke to a lot of people. So I tuned myself to become a
Yeah.
coach who is slowly and steadily becoming an expert in asking
Yeah.
those why, what, where, how kind of questions. So
Yeah.
those were the things that definitely helped me. The third thing I would say is silence, because
Yeah.
when you are a coach, you are tempted to talk more. And I said, no,
Yeah.
man, I don't want to. I want my person who is coming to help for help to ask
Yeah.
to talk more. So
Yeah.
probably positive mind talk, investing in myself, in learning
Yeah.
about how to ask the question, and third is remaining silent when people are talking. Those were the things I helped me.
Yeah. One of the qualities of a servant, they become really good listeners. If you take a
Hmm.
look at those in history that are truly have a servant heart, you will see them sitting down listening to the people. And it always fascinated me. And as I began to get deeper and learn more about me, and wanting that desire to serve as it increase, I find myself listening to the needs of someone because that's what you're interested in, their growth, their expansion, if you will. So here you are, you're learning, you're applying the tools for yourself to make the transition from one mindset to the other. And now you are looking at writing books. How did that
Hmm.
happen, Rahul? How did that, from where you are, you're in corporate America, you are helping people, doing all this stuff, and all of a sudden you what became a coach, and you're gonna say, "I want to be an author." Talk to us
Yeah,
about
so
that transition.
I would want to thank my coach, my mentor, Dr. Deredello McNeil. So I was a
Hmm.
part of his inner circle for a year, uh, and in our first conversation, he was asking about our background, and he was trying to get to know us better. And he mentioned that you guys have such a powerful stories. It needs to be penned down. It needs to be
Yeah,
written. It needs to be shared with the world. And that was the time which really motivated me to start writing. So I would say I'm more of a speaker
hmm,
who is writing.
yeah,
There are a lot of thoughts that are there, because as a so my core competency is a facilitation. So I do a lot of leadership facilitation workshop, and
yeah,
for that I have to talk. I have to, and I just don't want to talk about what people are saying outside the world. I want to talk about the things and how it matters to that individual, because in a corporate world, the
yeah,
internal dynamics also plays a vital role. So I have to internalize the content for the team that I'm coaching, or for the team I'm doing the
yeah,
workshop. So those
yeah,
things were always happening. It's just I never started to pen down. And now, when it just struck me when my coach motivated me, excuse me,
hmm,
I put a deadline to myself that by December 2022,
hmm.
excuse me, my first book has to be out. And it
Wow.
happened. It happened. I made it happen.
That is awesome. That is, your determination all through your journey. Um, and that's what one of the things I had to stop and reminded you when you're on the plane, you got sick, you landed, and it was that determination that got you back focused.
Yeah.
You use your determination all through. The determination caused you to acquire knowledge, reading and reading, making the adjustments, looking at the acquiring more knowledge, acquiring tools, acquiring. And I tell people, I have this little statement that I tell people. Um, you have to find your statement of faith. And I say this why? Because it is what you believe, that statement, that conversation that you have with yourself. You had that conversation as to become an author. By this day, I must have this done. That statement of faith means that you believe that thing more than anything else. And then you will take your corresponding actions necessary to bring that to pass. But you have to have one thing with yourself. You have to have this relationship with yourself where you trust yourself to get this, and that you will move to get it done because you have to believe in yourself. And so here you are, Doc. You decided to finish this book. Now, how did you begin? Because and those that are listening to us, I've always said this to everyone: buy these my guests their books. I mean, buy the author's books. I want you guys to buy it, give it to friends and family members as gifts. The reason why I tell them is that when you buy a book with an author, you're getting private time with them. You are absolutely in your most receptive state when you are alone reading those words. Those words are life. They have the capability of leaping off of those pages, dropping into you, and changing your destiny, changing your trajectory as to the mindset. And once that is changed, it will change and create an outcome. And I want you guys to remember, I'm going to provide all those things for you to get his books. And I want you to get into his program. He's a coach. Seek him out so that you can get some other perspective in your situation. Make him a part of your team, make Raul a part of your team so that he can guide you to the next stages of your development while you're here. Raul, you are here. You said to yourself, you got to write this book. Talk to me about that journey because that's not an easy journey. You got to now discipline. You have to kick in all kinds of stuff to bring that to pass, the time and date that
Absolutely.
you had given to yourself. Talk to me about that.
Absolutely. So, in this 20 years, I have done interviews, I have done training, I've managed team, I've managed, build high performing teams. And one
Hmm.
thing which consistently I found that there were people who had tremendous knowledge, tremendous potential, but they could not give their best for whatever reason.
Yeah.
That reason could be beyond my control, but this is something I realized that people were having their potential not getting unleashed. So that really
Hmm.
motivated me to write about what are some of the things that they can inculcate early on in their career or whenever they are struggling that will help them to unleash their potential. And that's why I mentioned about the habits for miracles. And
Yeah.
miracle is, I've used them as an acronym for people to get miraculous life, miraculous result. And what I mean by miracle here, Ken, is anything that you were not able to do and now you are able to do it. In my mind, that's a miracle. It is
Yeah.
not about those supernatural miracles. It is about things that you thought you could not do, but
Hmm.
because of that small change you did in yourself, small change you did in your mindset or perspective or in your habit that allowed you to get better results, is a miracle. So that's why
Yeah.
I gave this name Habits for Miracles.
I
And
love it, by
there
the
are
way.
eight habits, eight. Yes, thank you. There are 8 habits, 8 tools that I'm talking about in this book, and
Hmm.
each habit is its own itself. I mean, it's not that people have to imbibe all the 8 habits. They can pick one, two, three, whichever end objective is to unleash their full potential. It does not matter
Yeah,
whether this book is helping them or not, but if this book can inspire them, if this book
yeah.
can encourage them, whether they adopt these 8 habits or not, that is not my aim. My aim is to inspire them, to motivate them to unleash their full potential and live the life that they deserve, live the life that they always want.
Yeah, it will change not just their life, it will change those that are in their sphere, meaning your family, your friends, because you're going to want to give that knowledge away. You don't want to become a hoarder, if you will. You're going to want to give that knowledge because people are going to become inquisitive. What happened to you? How did you do that? And that's when you can point them to Raul's book and says, here, like I said, buy them, buy gifts, bring your friends along with this journey because those that you love deserve to be free from the mindset that there are the programming that we are all programmed as human beings, and the shifting of your perspective is a slight shift, and it will create big miracles. As Rahul says, those big miracles are all of those unattainables that you could not have attained. You will be able to attain it by shifting your perspective just slightly. And he will teach you all the different ways by which you can develop habits that will change your life, man. This is what we are here about, to make you aware of the power of you. And,
Yeah,
that's why I want to thank Raul for coming here at Threads of Enlightenment, because that's my heart as well. That's why I have Threads of Enlightenment, so we can have these conversations so that you can, as you're listening, you can recognize the greatness in you and stand up and begin to speak to yourself. Have wonderful conversation, encourage yourself, be kind to you. If you are not kind to you, you're not going to be able to get anywhere. Be kind to yourself. Raul, I want to thank you so much for coming to Threads of Enlightenment. This has been good stuff.
thank you. Thank you for having me, Ken. I wish you good luck, and I wish my learners hope that they live their life to the fullest.
Excellent. And I am going to provide everything for you guys to get in touch with Raul and make sure that you buy his books, as I mentioned before. He's a coach, also get into his space. I'll put those things together for you so that you can reach out to him and begin your new journey so that you can see who you are and your purpose here on this planet so that we can all enjoy and see you grow, man. So, Raul will tell me stories about you guys because I'm going to stay in touch with him. Raul, thank you again, and you have a good day, man.
Thank you. You too. Bye bye.
Bye bye.